the leading luminaries from the rubber sector in the audience, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a matter of great pleasure for me to be present here at the inauguration of the 63rd Annual General Meeting of All India Rubber Industries Association, which I am told has put in 70 years of its service in making India as one of the leading certified manufacturers of quality rubber products. I am also very pleased to know that Mr. Ravindra, the President, completes his Golden Jubilee celebrations for his own industry, Vinco Auto Industries. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a very proud moment, and Mr. Ravindra, the way he has steered the association deserves a standing ovation. I would also like to take this opportunity to congratulate all the winners of the various awards. Many congratulations, keep it up and keep the flags moving high, because on you rests the future of the Indian rubber industry, despite various constraints Mr. Vora has pointed out. Ladies and gentlemen, I have heard people saying that if it ever was a better time in the Indian industry, especially the Indian small industry, it was now. And this is being said because at least we have a Prime Minister who has a vision which really thinks how to take the country forward. His various ideas with respect to Make in India, Skill India, Digital India, the stand-ups and the startups are all glorious ideas which I am sure they may be taking some time to settle down, to really settle to the systems. But in times to come, things will be much, much better. Because what we require is somebody with a vision who really steers the country forward. And I'm sure the way the Prime Minister is working, Mr. Vora also said, अच्छे दिन आएंगे, समय जरूर लग रहा है मगर आएंगे जरूर से. But at the same time, when I hear all these things about the Indian economy, the Indian industry, there are also voices which emerged. The environment is still not that which the country should be taking. The challenges are enormous. And they become even bigger when you have neighbors like China who only believe in plundering the others' economies. But then we have two options. One that we give up, and another that we take the bull by the horns and say that we are not going to give up if let anybody come. Well, India has been plundered by so many, the Ghaznis of the past to the Ghaznis of today. They have all been there, but still, अगर हिंदुस्तान उस समय सोने की चिड़िया थी, तो क्या हम लोगों के समय में सोने की चिड़िया दोबारा नहीं बन सकता है? ये सोचने की बात है. कई सारे दिक्कतें, whenever I talk to the industry, I do come across, as Mr. Vora was rightly mentioning, the problem of India still lagging behind when it comes to the definition of an investment. We are perhaps the only country in the world which still talks of investment in plant and machinery as the basis of defining whether we should be micro, whether we should be small, or whether we should be medium. If you go to the world, I'm sure most of us would be going, we always hear the turnover as a basis and the number of employees who are there engaged. We look into retrospect, we look inside, and we find what is it that we lack. And the thought which comes to my mind is, Indian MSME sector, if you look at the figures, still has 94% in the micro category. Number one. We still have concerns relating to transparency when it comes to reporting both our business as well as the number of people whom we engage. Issues regarding off-rolls engagement, issues regarding certain things not getting reported. Let me tell you why I say this. We have introduced a scheme called Performance and Credit Rating. It's a scheme wherein the government subsidizes. And I'm sure most of our members sitting over here and of the association would have taken advantage of it. You know, one of the things which a small entrepreneur always tells the rating agency is, मैं अपनी डिटेल्स नहीं दे सकता क्योंकि कुछ ऑफ बिजनेस है, कुछ ऑन बिजनेस है, कुछ ऑन अकाउंट्स है, कुछ ऑफ अकाउंट्स है. तो जब हमारी सोच अगर वो होगी तो बड़े कहां से बनेंगे? You know, there are certain things which require corrections to be made, transparencies to be brought about, but then we always link, if the transparency has to be brought about, maybe we need to rationalize on the tax structure. सब कुछ बता देगा और टैक्स लग जाएगा तो चल जाएगा काम. You know, various things are being discussed. But then, as I said, we have two options. We give up or we move forward and take the things. And I remember in the recent past, not very long back, during Mr. Manmohan Singh's tenure, when he was the Prime Minister, a Prime Minister's task force had been set up for the MSME sector. I was just talking to Mr. Vora and I was telling him, it's time we need that thing again. Somebody who would really go into the entire problems of the MSME sector, the institutions which are engaged in it, and how and what improvements are required. It is brought out in a time-bound manner. It was done earlier, it is not difficult. I remember Mr. Dinesh Rai was our Secretary MSME, and it was carried out during his period, and believe me, it was a very good report, and certain things got implemented also. Especially now when the Prime Minister talks of all these things, when he is literally pursuing investments to be made in India, it's time that we have another such thing. And ladies and gentlemen, one thing which is expected, and I was mentioning it to both Mr. Vora and Mr. Mahendra Gupta, that while we may be complaining about certain government machinery is not working the way they should be working, we also need to be a bit more proactive when it comes to the involvement and engagement of the industry associations. Trust me, I have not seen the industry voicing its concerns in chorus. We may be doing it in bits and pieces in isolations, but it's time when we all voice our concerns in chorus. I was suggesting to Mr. Mahendra Gupta, why don't we call a meeting of all industry associations? They are leading members. Because I have seen when we interact with the industry associations, in silos, they are doing great work. But then they need to come together. It's time that we come together and see what is required. There are several schemes of the government which I find majority of our members are not even aware of. And that when we come together and discuss on a platform, we not only make our members aware of what is available, but also we voice our concerns in chorus as to what is required from the government. And trust me, things will change. We always address concerns regarding credit, concerns regarding marketing, concerns regarding skilled manpower. अक्सर कहा जाता है काम तो है, ऑर्डर तो है, पर हमारे पास काम करने वाले नहीं हैं. We don't have the trained labor. We don't have the information. And ladies and gentlemen, that is where I would like to take this opportunity to tell you that my organization, the National Small Industries Corporation, or which these days is more popular as NSIC, is one organization which is truly a one-stop shop, a one-stop point which provides you all assistances under one place. We are a mini Ratna company. Though we were set up in 1955, 10 years after your association was set up. We are younger by 10 years. We celebrated our 60 years while you celebrate your 70 years. We celebrated our Diamond Jubilee this time. But then, we are a very lean organization. We are only 900 people. But then, highly passionate. That is the transformation we made in the last 8 to 10 years. Would you believe a company which was just doing a business of less than 2,000 crores in 2006, with 935 people, hardly a profit of 2 crores, surviving on government grants, changes gears, changes its models, and last year we ended at 20,000 crores worth of business. With 150 crores of profit. And above all, we tell the government we don't need your support. We don't need your budgetary support for meeting our administrative costs. And why I say this? Because then we have been able to create a sense of belongingness in every employee of my company. And that is where, right from a peon or a driver in certain offices to the senior most official, everybody knows what to perform, how to perform, what is to be achieved. And there we provide the whole range of services. Our Prime Minister talks of Make in India, but Make in India cannot happen unless we make our industry competitive. There are certain sectors where we find that the raw material cost itself needs to be pulled down. And believe me, that is where we have come in certain sectors, and I would like to engage with your association in this regard. We have worked with the steel industry, the aluminium industry, the copper, the zinc and all that, where we aggregate the requirements of the small enterprises. I'm sure there will be several ancillaries of yours who may be requiring this assistance. We aggregate their requirements and talk to the bulk manufacturers and get them the material at the price the bulk manufacturer sells, and also the discounts which otherwise they would have never dreamt of. And the whole thing, the cost comes down by almost 10 to 15%. At least a small step taken by somebody to make the Indian MSMEs competitive. That's what we do. Then comes the question of bana to liya, bechenge kahan? And that is where we again build their capacities by certifying them under our single point registration scheme. And we get the technical competencies and the technical capacities certified by independent agencies. Ladies and gentlemen, today when the world walks into India, the need is accredited vendors who are required. And that is what we do. Individually, a unit may not be able to do because the capacities are limited. We bring them together by forming consortiums of such units. It's very difficult, it's a challenge literally to bring two people who are manufacturing the same product under one roof, under one banner. But then we try and prevail upon them by saying and suggesting कि आप अकेले कुछ नहीं कर पाओगे, जब मिलके करोगे तो बड़े orders मिलेंगे. And we participate on their behalf in even in government tenders and get them those orders which then we farm out as per the agreed quantities and they are able to sell. The problem comes, selling by this method is only one mechanism. Then we set up two of our marketing portals, the B2B and the B2C. B2B is more of information with respect to tenders, the trade needs, what's happening in the world around, and the B2C is more of marketing of their products. To facilitate the MSMEs, what we have now introduced is that up to 31st of December 2015, we would not be charging any fee for the members of MSME sector who would like to become members on our B2C portal. It's a service we are offering free of cost. And let me tell you, while there may be the Flipkarts or Amazons around us, the NSIC's B2C portal is exclusively for the MSMEs of India. The other challenge which normally is being said, माल बना लिया, माल सप्लाई भी कर दिया, सब पैसा तो है नहीं आगे रोल ओवर करने के लिए. अगला रॉ मटेरियल खरीदने के लिए we don't have the money. NSIC again steps in by providing the raw material on credit and by utilizing the non-bulk based limits which a small industry has. We only do that, and let me tell you, our lending rates are far more competitive than any bank would be offering you. I'm sure most of you would be exporting, so you might be getting certain benefits in terms of the finances available against your exports, but some of us who may not be doing it, or maybe some of your ancillaries who would not be doing it, we provide raw material on credit against the non-fund based limits by keeping only a bank guarantee. The rate of interest what we charge is 11.7 to 12.7%, and the band which we offer of 1% is to those companies who are rated. I told you about the performance and credit rating scheme. You get the best rating and you get 1% down. So that is what you can get. And this one-time rating under the performance and credit rating scheme is highly subsidized by the government, the Ministry of MSME. 75% of the cost of 40,000 is what the subsidy is available. So get yourself rated, get the raw material on credit from NSIC and avail the interest rate benefits also. We give it for 90 days at 11.7 if you are the best rated company, and I'm sure we do not charge the way a bank charges you by compounding volume. We keep it simple, we keep it straight. So if you really compare the bank with NSIC, we are far more competitive. But then we also have constraints when it comes to resources available with us. Thereafter, we still don't say no to somebody if you require assistance towards credit. We have tied up with 32 public sector, private sector and finance companies to arrange credit for you for any value of any nature and for any period which you require. While NSIC towards raw material gives you only 90 days credit, and if you are not able to pay, we can take you up to 360 days. But thereafter, there are other areas like term loans, like equipment being to be purchased. You would like to bring in more what you call plant and machinery to be brought in. All these we facilitate through these banks. Not in the first 4-5 months of the financial year, but then the moment we start touching September and the festivals come in, everything starts moving up. So that's going to happen even with other cases. Coming to the issue of the skilled manpower which is required, let me tell you, we have our technical centers in Okhla in Delhi, Aligarh, Rajpura, then we have it in Howrah, Guwahati, Hyderabad, Rajkot, Chennai. Now, while we were at one point in time doing all the prototype developments and all that, we have come out of it. Now we provide trainings as is being required by the industry. We are in sync with the industry. Run courses which the industry requires. So if there is anything, Mr. Gupta, which your members would be requiring training, we are prepared to run it at our centers, because the students who get trained can be absorbed by your members in their industry. We have already been doing it. I can tell you 60 companies come to my Okhla center to take away the people who get trained, and they're all good companies, Pebbles, Hero Group and all those, they are just to name a few. 45 companies come to my Hyderabad center, and that is the way people we are getting in sync. We are also trying to work out. Very often we say there is a lot of construction going on, but there are no operators of these cranes and JCBs and all that. That's one issue I'm just mentioning relating to the construction. There we have tied up with bulk companies, the big manufacturing equipment companies like Escorts. We are in discussions with BEML who all make these equipments. Their equipments will be provided to us at our centers, the trainings will be imparted, and the people will go and work on those machines at the end users. So this is another thing we would like to be in sync with your members in case they require trained manpower. And the issue which is burning in every country like ours, where we have a huge demographic dividend. We proudly say that our population of less than 35 is almost 65%. It's a big challenge, ladies and gentlemen. When you look at the figures of how much of the academic achievements they have been able to do, I was surprised when I read only 2% of this population is graduate and above. 50% of the population is not even middle. While we may be a select group, doing good business, but then there is another part of the society where we have this huge young population, and how do you engage with them? That is where we have started a new activity which we call rapid incubation for entrepreneurship development. We train these young people on those machines which will enable them tomorrow to become entrepreneurs. Because everybody, I'm sure each one of us who may be big enough, would have started small somewhere. We all started small, and today we might become conglomerates of tomorrow. I wish all the best to those who have achieved the awards and those who could not even to move up. But then we have to think about those, how new enterprises come up. So for those we have started these incubation centers. We have even taken them forward by engaging with the defense, because we felt it is the ex-servicemen, the Jawans who saved our country. They require a better life and a better place in the society once they come back after retirement. So we are in discussions with the Indian Army. We did it with the Senegalese Army for their ex-servicemen. We have already working for 5 places where the defense people will be done, the trained, and they can set up their own enterprise. We are also thinking of training the war widows as to how to give them a better place in society, their children, so that they can have a future tomorrow. It's very painful when you hear that graduates, and more so technical graduates, B.Tech and others, when they come out of the colleges, they look for jobs, and what they get is a petty job of a havaldar somewhere with 12,000, 15,000 being paid. The parents spend a huge amount, and if they would have put the same money in creating a small enterprise for them, the life of the child would have been far different. I'm sure through your members, Mr. Gupta, we would like to put this across, because certain industry associations have already come forward by adopting this method for their particular sector. The packaging in the plastic manufacturers association, as well as the Plast India people, they have also come forward. They would like to set up these incubation centers specifically for their activities, so that what gets trained and somebody would like to set up their own enterprise can become their ancillaries for tomorrow. They are creating new ancillaries for themselves. That's how maybe somebody who's working in your company and you would like to promote that person can be groomed by setting up that incubation center at your space available where you are. It's very simple, doesn't require a big thing. And the government of India has come up with a scheme whereby if you bring this modality through the state government or a government sponsored agency, investment up to 1 crore is sponsored under that scheme. And I'm very grateful to Mr. Gupta for providing me an opportunity so that I can share all these things with you. I also mentioned one thing. We have an exhibition center in Delhi, we have an exhibition center in Hyderabad, and we also have exhibition space available in Rajkot. For this financial year, 2015-16, for those industry associations who would like to hold an exhibition, we are enabling them, allowing them to hold their events at our grounds without charging anything. It's only for promoting the might have heard me saying that we earned a profit of 150 crores. It's very proud to say that we are a profit-making dividend-paying company. My borrowings in 2006 were just 50 crores. My borrowings today are 2,400 crores. And we are borrowing on our own strengths.